Hi, good morning to all of you. This is a doubt clearing session that I invite all of the participants to, whoever has registered for the course can ask their doubts and regarding the course content that we had covered from, in the, I hope all of you also must have watched the recordings from session 1 to session 5. And this will be, I will try to quickly take you through all the 5 session content and try to I will open up the maybe floor for questions at maybe by 8:30 or 8:35. We can end the session also if you don't have further questions quickly. Okay, I'll just try to quickly go through the content so that the concepts are reinforced on a quick ways, right? Yeah. So this is okay. I would go with session 1 is basic. We talked of this is available on YouTube as well, so you can watch this. So we try to cover why Python has become so popular and ease of learning. And in fact, maybe I can just summarize that itself in the session 2. I must have summarized that. I will start from there. So this session also I have taken live, and you must have seen those videos, yeah. So we talked of basic data types and variables. So we just try to this usually this is how the recordings also will be there, where you can see each and every session will have a recap of previous session. All the things will be summarized there.
Sir,
Okay.
you haven't shared your screen.
Okay, okay, sorry. I will do that. Yeah, sorry. Actually, usually by default, yeah, thanks. Thanks for pointing out. So that's thanks. So you can see the screen, right? Can you confirm?
Yes, yes, now we can see.
Yeah. So, this is session 2 PPT, which is available for you. And my sessions are numbered like this. Session 2 is, this is the actual content of that particular session. Okay. So we discussed why Python has been popular and, what are the various popular libraries that are there, how you can set up the Python environment. All that we had discussed in session 1. Right. In session 2, we did discuss about basic data type and variables. Basically, what is a variable? Variable is a yeah. Variable is a container which can store the information. You should have that. Okay. I think a variable is it there? Okay. What is a variable? Yes, it is there. Yeah. Basically, this variable stores the information inside the program. It is what is the purpose of this variable? It simplifies the code, makes it more readable. We saw various possibilities that when you are trying to create the information like may or where it is stored, you can also get the access to it. And when you get the ID of the variable, and the information that you have stored, both of them will be, and you can iterate and try to figure out different possibilities. You are reassigning the variable. All that I did demonstrate to you, so you can watch that. If you have any doubt, you can go through it. Okay. I will try to quickly summarize so that the concepts gets reinforced onto you, so that you will understand all the topics with thorough background. Okay, so these are used for different purpose, like wherever you want to manipulate the data for various purposes, we create different variables. So they are very easy, and in the case of Python, they are dynamic typecasting. So what do I mean by that? Dynamic typecasting means the variable need not be declared earlier. That's you can just try to assign different data types. There are multiple, this is a data type tree that we have in Python. There are numbers, sets, dictionaries, and sequence. All being Python being a very modern language in that sense can accommodate, this language has been developed accommodating the various data types that are required in our day-to-day use. So that is why we have different kinds of data types. And even once you learn the pandas data frame, all this data frame is one of the very popular thing that has made Python data handling with much ease. So when you start doing the project, you will realize that it's much easier to do with the data frame rather than using simple these tools itself, right? But just for your completeness, you can understand that there are different kinds of integers, floats, complex numbers, sets, dictionaries, sequence. I did explain this with a great detail in the last summarized class. So there are booleans which have the true and false, age which are continuous numbers, price which is having decimals values, and there is also a complex number, right? There are you can do different kinds of iterations, different kinds of operations you can do. There is a possibility that you can multiply, you can add, all the mathematical operations are possible on numbers. And in the string, this is a set of characters that we are trying to use it, right? For different purposes, it could be name, it could be like student name, teacher name, maybe the kind of variables itself is uh, it could be like all the columns. There are different columns. One is office staff, staff, student, teachers, there could be different variations. Those kind of variations that are there for the data, we would be requiring string data type as well. So there are combinations that you can do. You can add two different kinds of strings. There is a, sometimes you might be required to repeat a fixed string. Then you can use this multiplying factor. Then you can do that. Then there is a slicing where you can extract a particular part of the string. That's what also we learned about string type. So I did demonstrate this for you, and we learned in the last class about that, right? So last class means that is the session 2, content where we had covered this part. Okay. So then we talked of lists, how lists are being operated. Then there is a tuple. So the key difference between tuple and list is that tuples can't be changed. They are immutables. Okay. But there is an order, first number, second number. Like for example, here we have defined 10, 20 coordinates. We can get the value to assign, but you cannot change that particular value, okay, by assigning one particular thing. So of course you can always reassign, like for example, coordinates. You open this bracket, this is a normal bracket. If you put 20 comma 10, it gets reassigned because that variable itself is getting reassigned to that particular value. So but whereas in the lists you can reassign that particular value. This is what we had learned. Then there is something called dictionary. This is very useful to store the values. In fact, I will try to summarize that also quickly when we maybe in the next week when we have. I will show it to you how dictionaries are being used next Friday when session 6 onwards, when we have the content. That time I will explain more about dictionaries. Okay. So this dictionary is basically instead of like variable, uh it's like this. We wanted 18 to be stored inside, let's say, age, right? Now, when you have a large set of data, it becomes very difficult to remember that age, of one particular variable. So what did they create? There is something called dictionary. Being a modern language, this was introduced where you can use that variable name itself into again another variable. So it's a little complicated, but yeah, when you start using it, you will figure out that this is a much more easier way to access a particular variable inside, right? Like for example, you have multiple variables, student name. I can do student underscore name as well, but that will, each and every standalone variable will be different, but they are not bundled together. They are not clubbed together. But with the help of dictionary, you can do that kind of bundling. All the variables that are assigned related to student can be clubbed together. That's what happens in dictionary, right? So there are examples that I had also demonstrated. See, one thing that you should remember is the more that you practice and explore, the more you will learn. In fact, when I started doing my multiple customer projects, I had taken these projects. You will learn more and more than your own, either classroom or you are doing your own project. So after having gone through all the basics and one project, what I would suggest is pick up any other projects that we have floated, six of projects. You take up any data and try start doing the project yourself completely independently. You have all the basics that are required to be completed the project. That's when actually you will be, your basics will be actually tested, and whether you have understood, the troubles that you are going to face. That's when actually your learning process enhances. Okay. And of course, that would be, different kinds of will also give you a lot more confidence about your learning. Okay. So there are implicit costing and explicit costing that we can do. And you can do uh, conversions based on your requirement. There could be some strings, because when you are acquiring the data, it can be coming from multiple different sources. Like for example, you might be looking for a data warehouse data where the numbers like the pricings or any of them have been stored in strings, right? Now that you want to convert it into either float or int, then there are these explicit conversions that casting that you can do. Is this int is for integer, float is for float conversion. If you want something to be converted into string, you can use str. These are the ways in which you can do typecasting. These are important things for you. Okay. Somebody has missed the. Okay, Vamsi is back. Okay. Okay. There are 6 participants. Okay, Vamsi, I think you have joined from 2 places. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, yeah. So there are typecastings that are possible. This is what we did discuss in the last class. Um, I also talked about variable names that it has to start with either letter or underscore. We did discuss about Python was a case sensitive language, and no spaces are allowed inside any variable name. Okay. So there are these are the examples for valid and invalid student names that we had given. Try to make it your variable as much as descriptive possible, and try avoiding Python keywords. Python does understand, but you should always avoid some keywords like float or int. You should avoid those kind of keywords, right? I did talk of these extra resources where you can learn a lot more about. And then we went ahead. The next topic that was okay. I'll just stop share and I'll just share again the next PPT. Okay. Yeah. So this is my next PPT. Yeah, this is the session 3's PPT that I will try to quickly take you through. So this is what was a summary. You see, in fact, each and every this PPT access is available to you, and you can go through this quick recap so that you can learn a lot more. Maybe from now onwards, I will start doing that. I will just use the recap sessions of the previous slides. Then you can go through it. Yeah, some more people are joining. I think Lata, I think you had, okay, she is, her audio is not yet there. Okay. Lata, I think you have joined little late, but yeah, we just, I was trying to communicate, that we will be having almost every Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. this doubt clearing session. Today I might need 5 minutes early closure of the session, so it all depends on how much time you will be requiring. So please keep your questions ready and communicate it to us. I will try to resolve your questions on one-to-one basis, whatever the queries that are there. Okay, Lata. So
Yes.
I'll be just I will be. I'm trying to summarize all the 5 sessions content so that you can go through all that once again. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay. This was the session 2 summary, and you can go through just now I have given, and the recordings will be provided for you. Please go through it. Okay. Next, I will directly go to um, the next session, that is session 4. I will try to summarize the session 3 PPT. That's where usually I did in all of that. So I will just continue to okay. So all of you, can you please confirm whether you are able to you can see the session 4 PPT? Can you see this recap of session 3? Either you can chat or unmute and speak quickly.
Yes, we can see, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So just this is a summary of session 3, that summary of control structures. Basically, what is a control structure? Control structure is where you have to take decisions. Either it could be, the decisions could be like if else and if condition, or the loops. You want to keep on iterating for multiple times, and under certain circumstances you would like to come out of that loop again. There is a conditional statement there inside that loop. Okay. So in conditional statement, if else, this enables decision making in code execute different blocks based on certain condition, like like for example, when you have gone through that recordings, then you must have come to know that if age is greater than 18 years, then we can say he can vote, and if not, he cannot vote. Okay. And there is also an else if condition. Like for example, you can have multiple conditions in that example where we demonstrated temperature at room temperature. you know Room temperature being greater than 40 or 35 or whatever it is, that temperature, you can say it is very hot. And else if temperature is greater than 35, you can say it's hot. Else if, you can keep on adding those else if conditions. But remember that if condition, if it fails, then only it will come to else if condition. But if condition is satisfied, only those blocks of codes will get executed and directly moves to that full part of if else ifs come out, and directly the next blocks of code will get executed. So many of you, other participants of the first batch also had this confusion. You might be facing the same thing, while you are trying to program. Just I will try to maybe I'll just whole screen share. That is better. Okay, I'll just share the whole screen, entire screen. Okay. So I'll just open up my notepad. I'll just try to explain that part. And, yeah, this is something. Okay. Yeah. So now you can see, uh, just let me see this part. So if I'm writing like this, and statement 1, okay, this, if it is getting satisfied, please remember that all the statements has to have this one particular tab, that minimum space has to be there in your Jupyter notebook. As soon as you press after this colon, it will automatically take to that place. Okay, maybe I should use notepad, it will be much easier for you. Okay. No, I will just open a new note. Okay. So you have to say if statement one, okay, then you have to use here these kind of spaces, but in your Jupyter notebook, it will automatically take to one particular, with a one tab space. This is very, very important that all the structures that we are trying to create will be like this, with this much space only. Okay. Uh, like let's say execute one, execute two, whatever you want to do. It keeps on going like that. Now, the second part is this else. Once you press enter, then again you have to go there. So the condition is that if this statement is true, this will get executed. Okay. Let's say this is the sentence that I'm writing. And if my statement is correct, only these two will get executed, else will not get executed because that is not the correct sentence, right? Then whatever is written beyond else, like this condition starts getting executed. Similarly, if you have else if, all the if else if will be aligned like this. If you don't align, it will not understand. So it is syntax is based on that key, this alignment. So inside this, if I put a colon and then this, you have to do, you have to make sure this. In fact, the first batch had faced a lot of confusion from there. So that's why I'm trying to emphasize so that you can learn. Similarly, all the control structures will have that. For loop also will have that colon with the tab spacing. Okay. Inside that, you can use break and continue statements. There is also something called pass. Like, you want to develop some code at a later point of time, then you, as of now, just use a pass statement. That should be okay as of now. It will not do anything. It will just execute. Like, for example, if I'm writing this, if I leave it here, your code won't get compiled because in else there is nothing like that, right? So I have to use this kind of pass statement there. That is what was the requirement for the pass statement. Okay. So in key takeaways, control structures are essential for the flow control, like, especially when the decision has to be taken inside the program. And this will help in decisions and repeating the actions effectively. Like, you want to execute under certain conditions. For example, for loop, you want to print it from 1 to 10, or maybe like, you have 100 students, you want the output to be saved or done for all the 100 students, their name, age, grades, etc. Then you can use for loop. So the basic difference between for loop and while loop is, for loop is going to work based on certain number of predetermined number of iterations. Whereas while loop, you can create an infinite loop until unless that condition is getting dissatisfied, it is going to keep on working. So where and all they can be used. For example, I run the code, and it starts at 9:15, and one of the live example was, one of my client wanted that the codes to be executed up to 3:30 in the evening, where the share market closes. So I write a condition, while this is not, market is not before 3:30. You keep on running this code again and again and again and again and again up to 3:30 in the evening. So I can use the while loop. For loop, maybe, I want to generate it for all the 10 stocks. I want to acquire the data from the internet. I can use for loop. So that is the difference between for loop and while loop. And of course, inside, under special circumstances, I can break. And for that particular iteration, I don't want something to be executed. Like, for example, if the stock has not broken or something like that, I can use the continue statement. It will go back and recheck the while condition or for loop condition. It will increment whatever the things that needs to be incremented, and it will proceed. Okay. uh, do watch that recording with a great detail. I have explained there again, and that will be helpful for you. Okay. So mastering control structure is crucial, and this is very important topic for the control structures for any programmer. That is where your logical sense gets enhanced. That is where you are going to do some decision making there. Okay. Then the next session is of session 4, that I will take the summary from session 5. Okay. Okay. So I must have briefed there. So working with the data. Okay. This is okay. This has gone there. I think I had done a detailed thing in the session 4. Let me see. I'll quickly take you through. That's okay. So session 4, functions and modules. These are very important functions and modules. Like, we are going stage by stage. We understood what is variable. We understood what is the control structure. And then, the next level of complexity is that, you would be keep on reusing the same code again and again for doing multiple tasks, right? Like, for example, I can simply say that, for grades, or maybe, like, for example, factorial function that you must have seen in my demo class, right? So there we try to create a factorial function with the help of, ChatGPT there, but it created a function. So for the same number, like, I want to create the factorial for, once I have created a function, I can just call a factorial of 3, factorial of 5. For the same repetitive task, you are going to use functions. Okay. This is an example where you can understand how the functions are working in a real life analogy that I tried to explain during this session 4 content. Like, there is a main program that is, in any office you have, that person is trying to assign different tasks. This is what happens everywhere, even in a small company, big company, anything that you talk of. There is a person who serves the tea. His job is to give tea for all the employees. His function is that. And there is a staff who might be doing file handling. He gets into your office, and he's a peon. There could be some manager who is handling the accounts. There could be different people doing different tasks, right? The same way here, inside our program, we write different functions for doing different specific tasks. So it could be like, it will be much easier to do the same thing repeatedly. Okay. So once, you might be trying to create a recipe, for a dish. And like, that's what happens when you start learning cooking. That's what happens, initially either you watch a YouTube video and start doing the same thing, but then you try to note it down on a paper with a small piece of paper, whatever you want to do that particular item. Just next time onwards, it will be much quicker. You don't need to uh, put in the logic again and again, right? You have already done once, so your logic is robust. So you go through that kind of content, and you will be able to prepare. Okay, I know it has to be boiled for 10 minutes, so I will just keep on following those kind of instructions. Your efficiency improves. The same thing happens with your function. Okay. So there is a basic syntax which needs to be followed, like that: def, function name, whatever the variables that needs to be given inside the function, those we call it as arguments. And there are whatever the things that needs to be written, you have to use return statement. You can have multiple variables as either zero or multiple variables, any number of variables inside the argument. They can be dictionaries, they can be, all the options are possible. Same thing happens in written also. This is a beauty of Python. You can uh, take in any type of variables. It's not that only specific type of variable can be returned. You can return any of them. So this is more understandable for the people who have done C programming or things like that, where there are certain restrictions in those written statements. Otherwise, if you're learning this directly, then you won't understand what I'm trying to talk of. It's not required also. Okay, how do we call that function? Just use the function name with the arguments. That's what I have demonstrated. For example, factorial was one of them. Like, you can pass on the argument with a number, and when it executes the code, it outputs whatever the function that it is returning. Okay, so I did create a small functions like these. We want to greet somebody. You can add all that. We can prefix, suffix. There could be multiple functions, like I can say greet, greet one, greet two. There are different options that are possible. Based on that, this session was fully about that, where we try to create, add numbers. There are different kinds of arguments that I did discuss about there, that when we have different variables, you can have one particular variable to be having default value as well. Inside the function, you can define it like this: b equals to 10. Then if you pass on, just add 5. 5, the default value is there, 10 plus 5, it will return 15. But if you want to change the value of b, you have to argumentatively, you have to submit it the different value, 5 comma 20. Then it overrides the default value of b and it outputs. Okay, so then there is a different kinds of arguments that you can pass on, like that position only, position or keyword, and the third one is keywords only. Okay, so when you watched that video, you must have realized that there is a in this case, you don't need to tell what kind of variable that you are passing on. In the case of positional or keyword, either you can submit that argument with the particular position. If it is based on the keyword, you have to use that particular keyword, like d is equals to 2. Then it can be like, all the arguments could be multiple of them, like, step size. In that video, you must have seen that there is a function called a range there. That's where I have explained what kind of fixed variable is there. And you can also do step size, all that. You can go through that, then you will be able to understand in much more detail. But there are different kinds of argument you can pass it on. One is the positional, position or keyword, and keyword only. All three kinds of variables are allowed inside the function. Basically, the function has certain particular inputs and output. Output is basically a f of x. If you have done mathematics, then you must have understood. Okay. Vamsi has asked a question. Since this is a question and answer session, I will take all the questions as and when you are asking. Okay, basically we have positionally arguments, keywords in the functions, right? We where we use the concept in real time scenario. Correct, Vamsi. So basically, here sometimes it can happen that your uh, it all depends on your usage of the function. Uh, Python being a modern language, it tried they tried to accommodate all the possibilities being considered. Okay, so there could be some functions where you want each and every keyword to be provided, like start point, end point, and step size. You can make it that to be a keyword based. It could be, you can make it default value also. But if you are changing that value, you can always use it step size. These are very powerful when your code becomes more than 10,000 lines. See, if I'm just writing 100 lines of code, it doesn't really matter whether it is positional, keyword. I can always figure out. But understand that when your things are becoming bigger and bigger, it becomes a lot more complicated. So it all depends on what kind of function you are writing, and hence, based on that, you will be required to use either positional based argument or keyword based argument, or maybe mix of both. Okay, so all that, thanks to ChatGPT nowadays, generating the code has become so easy. But if you don't know how the function, why this star is being used, why this slash is being used, you are going to face problem. So that is what I'm trying to make sure that you learn the basics, and then you can execute the projects, and your learning curve becomes much faster. Okay, that is the purpose of this course was, we are trying to make sure that you can learn with a pace, with basics being covered in first 5 sessions. That is what we are trying to cover, all the 5 sessions content today. Okay, this is just to reduce the complexity of the code only. Correct, correct. So not only complexity, uh, like for example, mm, you might be requiring, when you are writing a new code, you don't remember what kind of arguments that you have given, whether start was there, step was there, and finally end was there, whether that was there, what is there, you don't remember, right? Either you have to go back to the function and make sure that that is the sequence that you have used, and imagine that the same thing is going to happen everywhere you are going to use that function, right? So your development has not increased that much of time, but rather, when I use the keyword only based on the need, I quickly do that. For example, my step size can be defaulted to 1, and my starting point is always 1, my ending point can be 10, right? I will always be giving only end point, definitely. That's what happens with the range. If I say range 10, it will start with the 0 1 2 3 5 6 7 all the way up to 9. So by default it creates number step. So that's how the complication of having been to define earlier might not be required. Yeah, so this is just to reduce the complexity of the code to a great extent, but you don't need to remember exactly what position you have also given, like if you're using specifically keyword. But sometimes it's much more easier to go by position. Like for example, I'm having a single variable argument like factorial, then I don't need to be worried about it, right? It's just position only. There are some situations where I know the arguments are going to be coming by only position, then I can use the position only. But sometimes I might be requiring a dynamic code, I will use the keyword, like start, end, start, stop, end, step size. Those are the keywords I can use, so that based on my requirement, I can always say, like for example, student name is there, student age is there. Inside that I can say name, age, which are based on keyword. Okay, that would becomes much more easier for you to handle the data. That's why we have these kind of options, right? So you do have the functions, that is the input side, where you have different kinds of positional and keyword arguments which can be provided, which will do the actions based on your requirement and output whatever you are supposed to do. Like for example, factorial function was there, you took the number, you created the factorial function. It, like for example, 3 factorial is 3 into 2 into 1. Inside the code it will multiply and it will give you the output. Output is always used with the return statement. Okay, that's what was the these are, you can also have different complexity, in the sense that there could be a sub function inside a function. The variables will have a specific role inside that, right? So whatever is the main block of code which is there, that we call it as a global scope. It is accessible everywhere inside the program, but inside the function, if you want to use, you have to say that this is a global variable that I am trying to use. Okay, this is enclosed scope. That's a sub part of it, and inside that there is a local scope. So it's like it's a network. Inside this function, these variables are limited to be accessed only inside this particular function. If I call for example C, okay, outside this function, your program will not be able to give the output because that is in local scope. You can also say there is a, when you want to make sure that it is enclosed scope, you have to say non-local from here. If it is outside this, then you have to use global. Okay, this is how you can use. These are the kind of variables that are available for you. When you start doing the project, you will realize that you should know this as a basic concept, but when you do it, you will learn more thoroughly. Okay, so we'll quickly summarize this part, then I can take some of the questions. Okay, introduction to module. So basically, what is a module? Module is a collection of functions that you have created for different purposes, right? Like you can see, that is what is the power of Python is. Python has created a lot of open source libraries. Okay, people created their own functions for their own application, but they made it available. So you can install those modules. In fact, this was demonstrated during this class. You can go through it and again go through it so that you can learn this. Where you can use a statement called import a particular module. If that is a system module, it will check and it will import directly. If it is not, it will look what kind of module it is. If it is installed on your PC, it will create a module and it will access. So if not, it will raise an error. If that module is not installed on your system, it will raise an error that that module is not installed. Do first install the module and you can use them. Like math is a common library, date time is a common library. These are inbuilt when you are trying to. Okay, yes, correct. Vamsi, I think you must have got confused because this is which session that I'm trying to present. This is session 4 only, right? Yeah, I think Vamsi, I think there is a session 4. I had taken it in 3 parts. So it has come to, I think in their naming convention, session 1, 2, 3 are correct. Then it is session 4 was conducted in session 4, 5, and 6. There were 3 sessions. This session 4 content was covered. Okay, so since I understand that this modules was not covered in the session 5 content, I think you must have gone up to session 5 only. So maybe I will restrict myself up to here so that we can take up this part in the next week. Okay, I will try to go through this part. Okay, till now whatever I have spoken about, whatever you have gone through the recordings again, can you please let me know whether you are able to understand all the way up to here? Any doubts, whatever the sessions that you have watched the recordings are attended till now? You can unmute and ask, you can type any kind of, because very limited number of people have joined, so that should be okay for me. You can ask. Vamshi, you are asking me some question, right? Session 5 in the beginning, you are asking. You can unmute and speak. Vamshi, I'm asking you, are you there? Oh, unable to unmute. Okay, sorry. I think so. If that kind of thing happens, please do ask me, and I will just. I have given that permission, but anyway, I will just give it again. I think you must have rejoined. So, are you able to do it now? Vamshi? No? What happened? Why is it? Um, uh, Lata or Himabindu, can you please try unmuting yourself so that I can figure out whether it is a problem with Vamshi's PC or you know yeah. I think Lata is able to do it. Vamshi, I think maybe you need to quickly rejoin. So I think there is some problem with your from your end. Try to exit and rejoin. We will be able to unmute, I think, yourself. Yeah, Lata. Lata or Himabindu, if you have any questions, anything that you want to ask, anything that you have not understood, or anything that you want me to repeat a certain part of the whatever the videos that you have watched and whatever the classes that you have attended, please feel free to ask me. I can spare that much of time that for that particular topic.
I'm good, sir. Now I will prepare for next week and I will ask the questions
Sure,
then.
sure, sure, Himabindu. That's fine.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. How about you, Lata? Are you okay?
Yeah, sir. I have to go through the recordings. I did not get a chance to go through that. Yeah, definitely next week.
Yeah, please, Lata. So, see, you have to spend some time, That's why, I have also told my team that every Friday we are going to have this kind of session so that please watch this whenever you find time. And my suggestion to all the participants would be that they should watch the video as per their
Mhm.
convenience, take down the notes, practice it. That is more powerful and important for you to whatever the topic that we are. Okay. Vamshi has typed in also question, what are the advantages of using list over other sequences types? See, Vamsi, it's like this. All the data types have their own unique. In fact, there is a session six content that is there. I can show it to you since you have not gone through all the sessions. I think that is what is about that, right? So let me see. Working with the data. So we do have extensively covered the topic. That in this session six. This will be session 6, 7, 8. This will be considered as session 8 in those recordings. Okay, because session 4 had become three sessions. Session 4 is session 4, session 5, and session 6. S05, S05, S06. These were the three sessions that recordings are there, but of all of them are corresponds to session 4 content. Okay, so but below that, whatever the PPT that you are watching is relevant to that itself. There was some confusion because of certain sessions were problem call, I couldn't cover that content, so that has to be extended because people wanted with a little more detailed understanding of that particular session 4 content. So I did explain it with lot more details for the session 4. Okay, so do watch that. And yeah, just Vamshi, I am unmuting you. Can you check now? He's rejoining. Okay. Yeah, I have given you again unmute access. I think all the participants I have given, you can see on the screen, right? Yeah, I tried. Vamsi, I don't know. What I would suggest is that you can join from another device, maybe mobile, or you are unable to unmute. So I don't know how we can. uh, you can watch. You can join from the laptop. I think you did try to log in from two devices, right? So this, what are the types of advantages using list or other sequence types? That when you watch in the next video, all that I have cleared during this PPT. Okay, this session 6, which will be shown as
Sudhindra,
S0.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
Good.
thanks.
Finally, don't give up like that. Yeah, that's good. Good spirit. You should always try multiple things and somehow try to solve the problem. Yeah, Vamshi, go ahead.
I have one query related to data types, Sudhindra.
Okay, sure.
We have list and sequences and dictionaries, right?
Correct.
But I didn't try this. I'm asking, is it possible to do a permutations against three these data types? Set.
That's what I was telling. You just watch this once. In next week, videos that will be provided to you will have the next subsequent session 6, where working with data we will be doing all this. There is also a sequence in which inside a dictionary, additional dictionary, all kinds of possibilities are allowed in Python. All kinds of possibilities.
Oh,
Inside list, there is a dictionary can be there. Inside dictionary, there is a list can be there. I hope you are asking that only, right?
yeah.
Vamsi?
Suppose let's take an example here. We have set, right,
Mm-hmm.
and we have sequence.
You want to have a shared, you want to share some screen, or just you are asking
No,
question?
just I'm asking.
Okay.
We have sequence and we have set. Can
Okay.
we concat these two data types?
Yeah, that is possible.
Okay,
See,
that's
but ideally, what you should do is you should always use, um, just you just after you watch this session 6 content, which is will be provided to you as session S08,
okay.
it will become very clear to you.
Okay.
So just hold on. Maybe my suggestion would be that try to understand as much as what has been taught to you up to session 5. So S05 is the content on which I think today's session, because there was a confusion. I told up to session 5 means ideally you should have watched up to S07. In fact, I had put it up in the message also.
So it's my fault, I think. Sorry.
Yeah, because I had put it up in the message also saying that, please do watch up to S07. So that's okay. Don't worry, Vamshi. I would be more than happy that take your time, but you can watch those videos at least during the next week. Next week, I want all of you to watch up to S12. Okay. uh, it will not be much of loaded content, don't worry. You have to spend the 2 hours, get the things absorbed, and make a notes in your own physical notebook, for all the sessions as you are attending. But of course you will be required to spend 2 hours of each recording is around 2 hours, so you have to spend that much of time. But I'm sure you can do that much, when you are sincerely wanting to learn Python, right, Vamsi? Is it okay?
Okay, Shishandra, I will try to complete those up to
Yeah,
12.
please. Of course, see, I'm accessible to you as much as possible. You can put up the question. I will try to clarify the doubt then and there in the one-to-one. But still, if you still face problem, you can always. That's why I'm trying to conduct these doubt clearing session, so that you can learn from others' mistake. Or others' doubts. You might not be getting that doubt, but you can get that doubt clarified by attending these sessions.
Okay. So how can we approach if we have a doubt?
Yeah, so one thing is that, I have asked my team, the team to share my number with you. I don't know, they have not yet shared, I think, as of now. There was some policy issue or of, Raj Informatica. So I'll just try to see. You can send up, your query to our support team, and they will put it to me. And if required, I can directly provide you a session of WhatsApp or one-to-one, Zoom link, whatever is required, we can conduct the sessions there. I think some people must have misused, directly the instructor's numbers as, this when becomes the system becomes more bigger, that becomes a little complicated. So they must have come up with a policy. I'm not sure. For first batch, we did provide our numbers, but at this point of time, I have to go with our, whatever the team says. But you can approach our team. Either they will forward it to me. We can schedule a Zoom meeting appropriately so that I can clear up your doubt. Okay, that will be one-to-one that I can arrange.
Yeah,
Himabindu,
thanks.
yeah, yeah, Vamshi, go ahead. Vamshi,
Yeah, Sudhindra, up to now, I don't have any doubts.
okay. So
Just,
you were telling in the beginning about this list only. You had this doubt.
not about the list. I'm asking about the positional arguments and keyword
Okay.
arguments.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. That
but I'm
was the
asking,
doubt. Okay, that was the doubt you had about session 4. Okay, that's correct. So you were asking in the beginning that positional argument and keyword argument that you have asked in the chat. Yeah. So is it clear to you now?
yeah, Sudhindra.
Yeah. So that makes actually see, the more you explore Python, the more you will learn. Okay, any instructor or anybody, we have it in the course. We go with a certain basic things, and so that you understand the whole code, right? Like, for example, I can quickly show it to you some of the, this was one of the feedbacks that one of our last participant had shown. So I can quickly show it to you a lot more bigger size code so that you can understand. This is a Jupyter notebook I learned. I write my own Python programs for different applications based on,
Sudhindra,
yeah,
are you sharing any
yeah,
screen?
I'm about to share. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So this is the code, based on certain user requirements, you will be writing a lot more, this is like, you would be incorporating all these libraries, date time, based on your own requirement. This is a basically a stock market code, which I had written for my client, for his own requirement. There are different variables, all that you create, how to manage the database, date time. There are, see, you can see that how I organized my functions, get file name, 945 codes, these are the ways in which, once you go through this content, you will be able to understand lot of these options. See, the code, it gets more and more complicated. You will be required to define so many functions, as the complications keeps on increasing. All this you can do it. This is still a smaller code that I have written. This is approximately, I think, more than 2000 lines. I don't remember. Yeah, around 2500 lines or something like that. So Python is one of the smallest code generator. Right? You can create a very, very small codes, but it all depends on what are the, like, finally I just use start the program, generate the output. That's how I write my final functions. This becomes very, very useful in terms of functions. What you are asking was, positional arguments. most of the times, I might not be having any argument at all in the functions. Some of the cases, yes, like key levels, these are positional. Whatever the key level is there, adjustment. And sometimes I might be requiring the keyword. In this case, I have not used any keyword kind of thing. Like, I have also used like this price range, right? These are the functions. It all depends on how you want to use, right? That's the key thing. So just I try to show you one of the big codes that I have written for one of my clients. In fact, one of my customer had asked me for one. That's a different my own friend. He was asking me for writing a line of code within, I think, whatever his requirement was there, I could fulfill it. I think hardly 8-10 lines of the code, but he was trying to do that in Excel. It becomes very, very complicated. So Python in that way is very, very comprehensive, and a lot of inbuilt libraries are there which will make a small line of code execute a huge amount of work for you. That's the power of Python. Okay.
Okay, Sudheendra.
Yeah. So please watch these recordings. So that would be very, very helpful for you. And my suggestion would be take down the notes, and you have to make me get troubled. I always feel encouraged with the students who ask a lot of questions. So don't worry. There is nothing silly. There is nothing small. If you don't understand anything, please feel free to ask. You should be asking more number of questions. Then only I feel that you are putting in enough of efforts. Okay, so maybe in the next class we might have more participants in the next Friday. So Vamshi, so is it clear to you?
Yeah, Sudheendra.
So my suggestion would be, please watch those recordings and make your questions. Do post it or bring it in next Friday's class. Or when we will have these doubt clearing sessions, you can go ahead and watch this, right?
Yeah, sure.
So feel free to post your questions, and we'll be able to answer all those questions as and when it is required. Okay. So please give us, you post your questions and give us 24 hours of time. We will definitely respond to you on priority basis. Okay, Vamsi?
Yeah, Sudheendra.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Vamsi. Thank you, Himbindu. So if you don't have any questions as of now, maybe we can wind up the session early also, and so that I can also get engaged with my other engagements. But if you have questions, I'm available. For today also, or more the amount of time you want, I'm available. Vamshi and Himabindu, if you have any doubts, not necessarily related to Python, in general, you can also ask me that, I can answer them about, in general, about Python, Java, anything that you want to ask, if you are feel free to ask.
So basically, hi, Sudheendra.
Yeah, Vamsi.
So what kind of libraries do we use to integrate the integrated the Python with SQL? I mean, databases. Suppose
See, it SQL has its own. My suggestion would be that, since I'm not inherently a SQL programmer, so I would not be saying anything directly off the hand. I'll just take the help of ChatGPT. Let's see. Maybe I'll just open it up. You are able to see my screen?
yeah, Sudheendra.
So I always prefer using ChatGPT, because nowadays, see, even in fact, if you watch my recordings, the other recordings also, I I emphasized, even during the demo class also, and during the last session also. See, ChatGPT has made my, programming and progress, substantially larger. 90% of work can be done with ChatGPT, and our time should be utilized for that particular 10% where we are trying to fix up the bugs and all that, but one of the key important things is the what are the prompts that you give is also equally important. That's what happened, why is it okay? Chat GPT. Okay, that's what somebody was telling during last sessions also, that they are not able to, okay, they are coming up with this. So download the app. Okay, some of the PCs were giving this kind of thing for them also. Yeah. Why is it not opening? Some people were complaining this during the last batch, on their PCs it comes like this. Okay, it doesn't open up.
Maybe
It
so
ends there.
many users hit the ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's enormous. I think we can use Copilot also. This is a Copilot which is available, and we can use Copilot as well. So it's okay. So I will say, you are saying that, okay, SQL libraries for Python. See, it does suggest automatically what are the. So there are different libraries based on your SQL database, because I have not worked in SQL at all, so I don't know anything about SQL. So these are the different libraries, and SQL Lite 3, this is the inbuilt library for Python. So most of the applications you should be able to do with this, but yeah, there is always other libraries which are little more complicated. Based on your requirement, you can use a particular library based on your requirement. And of course, thanks to ChatGPT, if you tell it's ChatGPT or AI, generative AI, you can put in here, then it'll also, this is GPT actually. GPT will give you, the appropriate library that can be used. You don't need to be really worried about what kind of library that is more appropriate. You can use these kind of things. One good thing about Python is, lot of people have contributed, like somebody must have, like for example, I'm randomly picking up, don't worry, I'll just okay, it went to something else. Okay, paste. What is this? It has not taken. I paste. Yeah. So if you go there, I'll just end up this. If you go there, in fact, this, when I teach you how to create a library, in the subsequent sessions, you go through that recording. That time you'll understand. So these are the installations that you can do. This is how you can do. You open that. It will explain you all the documentation. In fact, this is the same thing that we need to follow when we are trying to create our own library as well. So it also gives how to use a table, inside this cursors. It explains you with a lot more, this will print you password, very secret ID, all that. It will give you what kind of examples, and if you go through project description, this is the release history, and it's, you can install this PyMySQL and start using it. You go through the documentation, then it will give you all the kinds of installations, examples. This is a create table. This is the example. It will print. Okay. So there are resources that are available. How you can use this, like, client server protocol, right? So you can go through them, how it is working. And yeah, okay, finally ChatGPT has opened. This is, yeah, of course, yeah. So that's SQL libraries, let me see.
Yeah, thanks, Sudheendra.
Yeah. So one powerful thing about Python is that, a lot of open source communities contributing, you name that I want to do this, some library must have been already done, there are a lot of people contributing and that information is available. And if it is not available, that's a good opportunity for you to learn, you start building that project and contribute it to it. Okay, Vamsi. Okay, I think only limited people are there. Himabindu, are you comfortable? Are you okay? Maybe you already briefed. So if you have any further questions, you can ask, or else maybe I will just end the session a little early. That should be okay. Vamsi, so can we end the session?
For me, it's okay, Sudheendra.
Yeah. Himabindu, do you have anything? Can we end the session, or do you want any doubts? Do you have any doubts?
Right now I'm good, sir. Next week I will ask the
Yeah,
doubts.
please do that. Please do note down the questions, and you can always post it on the WhatsApp also to our support number. And I can, if required, I can also arrange a
Sure,
separate
sir.
1-2 session
Sure,
of
sir.
whatever is required.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then I'm ending the session. Thank you. Have a nice
Have a
day.
nice day.